I'm making a little bit different video today. I'm talking in English, but it's about a release that I did in Norwegian. But since this mix is on Mixcloud and I would like you to listen to it, I do it in English. And also because I think you might find this very interesting, whether you're interested in music or more esoteric topics like celestial physics, prime numbers, or how to get out in outer space in large numbers, you know, within a couple of years. So this is, you know, we're looking back now at 2008. This was sort of the condition I was in that time. I was DJing, but I was living quite far away from many places that were, you know, receptive to the kind of music that is on the CD here. Luckily, it was just me being ahead of myself again, and I think most people today are, you know, quite familiar with the sounds of what we call dubstep. This was kind of a slight derivation because as an artist I wanted to have a, you know, my own unique sound. My mind was kind of like in this state. I was looking at a record stylus and I was imagining it going into you know, outer space basically. So well, let's look a little bit there. It was such a, you know, comprehensive piece of work. I made 400 copies of it, and each of these CDs, I bought them blanked and I just copied them on my laptop. And then I cut out this carving to like this to make this thing here, and I had another one with these letters that I also cut out. And since I didn't have any press, I was sitting actually on the floor of my bedroom, and I've been sitting on my ass. I was a lot fatter back then, so it's a heavy print. So with this, I included artists like my friend Contapella, who's made some original work for this. The Beat Street tune that starts it. I have Howard Maple, also a good friend of mine. Mission Dread, he's kind of fallen away since then. Lee Perry is here. Joe Clausel, I wanted to have that with me very early, and I mixed in some, I think there are 3 tunes going at once there with Contapella, Joe Clausel and African Head Charge into Benga, and you know, I wanted to make a mix that really stood out and didn't sound like anything else. Right now we are listening to Mark Stewart and Mafia, their take on Jerusalem. Oh shoot, I did not think. Oh my gosh, I did not know. Here are 2. This is a blank page. I cannot imagine I did not include anything on the insert. Well, in any case, I'm not sure if there ever will be any reason to make these kind of, you know, CD releases again. I don't think anybody listens to CDs, you know, other than like to be, you know, like this. I want to show. Yeah, this is the cutting edge, you know. Here is Code 9 with Space Ape. Code 9 actually have the first word on the CD. We had him over in Oslo in 2003, and while he was there, he had this. We arranged that he could have a lecture on sonic warfare. So there's some kind of Wu-Tang style beats at the beginning, and some excerpt from that lecture he made. After that, after this tune, there's a mashup I made. Well, then you can hear how my thinking was at the time. I think I'm pretty good at expressing myself with sound. But let's look a little bit at the magazine here. Oh yeah, there's a message. So I was on at that time I was on a rampage. I was in battle back, yeah. Here my tune starts. Battle Magnet. I got to upload it somewhere. I think it's a really cool tune. But here is like I'm opening the magazine here. There's the front cover. This is the only torn copy I've got left of the first print run of these 400 copies. They're all gone. Glad to say, and I wish if I had the money to print 1,000 at that time, I would gladly have done it. I'm still very happy with what I made. Look, it featured a sticker here as well that you could, and then some articles that I've written. Made this comic for it. You know, I went all out because. At the time, you know, I've decided to put myself out in the. I just hate that the kind of cliched kind of artist lifestyle that you move to a big city and you crumb around red wine and good government support. Well. Right now, as I talk, I am actually on government support for the first time in 16 years. But all of this was self-financed by myself, tending cows, herding sheep, or painting houses, you know, in short order. And with the money I got left, I invested in myself, in my ambition as an artist. This one is actually sold. It got sold this next summer after the release here. And I write a bit about how our democracy comes to be and how it ceases to exist as people are just getting addicted to government handouts. There's also this comic here. This one I did not make. It's from 1937. It's based on a guy called Bertram Dybwad Brockmann. He was one of those contrarians. He had the Community Party was his thing. He was sitting in the government as a member of parliament, and while he was there he refused to take any pay, because he felt that the work he did was so important that he wouldn't cheapen it by implying that he would do it for money. So while he was sitting there in government, he did that for free as a service. I think the only politician I know today that do something like it. There's maybe in Peru and Ecuador in Latin America and Donald Trump that everybody just hates. and I never understand why they hate him, but and now I'm just gonna get flogged for just saying some for not spewing garbage about Trump. I'm gonna get flogged, I'm sure. It's so crazy, but I'm not gonna talk about politics. Here is a poster. It's also included with the magazine. I jump from topic to topic. Here, another damn plane. Always you with planes. It's lightnings in outer space. So it's a nice double-sided poster. I called myself Rhythm Spider Audio at that time. This is the mashup I did. It's Steve Gurley, Lenny Fontana, Spirit of the Sun, mashed into grape nut beats by this man called The Music on Reflex. Just disintegrate the whole beat, I'm gonna make a shout out to Pad Chennington. He has this wonderful YouTube channel where he talks about vaporwave and broken transmission. This is what broken transmission sounds to in my ear. It's just falling apart.
Silence them all.
That's Seth Daniel. That's he has the honors of ending the CD, and also the only artist that I include 2 tracks with. Same time, check out Seth Daniel's channel. He makes some of the most original music out there. It's like, when we were putting this CD together, I was like, how do I mix this? Because it changes tempo.
All I want is a place to spell my name. All I want is the origin. Yahweh the fire gem. The unquenchable fire. The one love above all ages. But silenced by one carnal mind, eating flesh and seeking to do that which is...
This is... I'm still very happy about this mix, I have to say. And then at the end of the magazine, I go into a larger article about some fundamental people in my studies, which is Wilhelm Reich, Immanuel Velikovsky, Nikola Tesla, and of course James McCanney. And I was kind of a bit terrified about writing about this, because these are people that have faced enormous suppression for their findings. But I thought, if this is what's happening, I want to align myself with these people that are just being maligned without being really heard. Because I think it's so... It's like a... I just think it's so hypocritical. We want to have free press and everybody is on the same page and multicultural, but everybody has to have the same opinion about everything, otherwise you're out. And everybody has to go with the same solution. And I really wanted to rail against this. That is kind of perhaps some of the, the ethos behind this magazine is like, you do it because you believe in yourself, not because you are expecting any big reward. And right enough, even though all these copies went out pretty quickly, I still don't know how it all happened, but it's a true word. I never heard from anybody, well, except one couple. They say that they loved the poster and they had it in their bathroom. That made me so happy. But that is the only feedback I've gotten for this thing. I remember also in the town where I was living. It's not a big town by any means. I showed this to the government official that is, for culture. And I wanted to show her that you should be interested in this, and because it's got a print, I made it. I made all these drawings, and it's got a CD with the mix I did, and I thought it would be like, I wanted it to be a contribution to culture. But she only had a look at the cover and like, no, this is not interesting, and just went on a merry way and to the next cup of coffee or whatever they do. There, now it's in the mix. No, as I sit there, have you heard any music like this before? Just curious. As I say, I don't live in a big city. I kind of consciously, I've lived in some very big cities, but I consciously just, okay, I need to define my own self, my own art, and I've spent some years on refining that. Some of the results that you see here, as well as the studies, into celestial physics and how outer space really works. I've got many of these, what do you call it, PAM? We call it, the last act of a government is to loot the nation. Now, how far are we from that? This is James McCanny. That's these are notes. So if this is what it says in a radio show, then that is going to be too close to home for. Of course, it's not going to get on the evening news for saying such things. But he also says, more importantly, your birthright is in the stars, and if you got a gun, you're more likely to get shot. So, are the first. Now we are starting with the prime numbers. Yeah, I think that is what I want to tell you about. No, one thing about the cover photo before I forget is I wanted to kind of explain a bit more, in layman's terms, and try to visualize the things that McCanny talks about regarding comets and the physics of Sun-Earth weather. Hurricanes are, it is not something that comes through the heating of the water in the Pacific or any El Nino or El Niña effect. It is because there is an excess charge of photons coming in the solar wind, and if the conditions in space are correct, we can experience severe weather on this planet. But it also has to do with where are the planets in the solar system, and then there's this foggy thing here, which is how would you think the weather on this planet would be if we could see in the night sky, or maybe if it was this big, in the daytime sky a comet. And what if it would be in line with the Earth and the Sun? We would experience, you know, really severe weather. Should we get in the tail of this comet, we would have a severe pollution event that you could not pay taxes to mend. So I guess for myself, for, you know, today they call it men gone their own way. I did this many years ago. I did before there was any term like this. I just listened to this guy, and he says that you need to prepare. Someday something's gonna come down. Hopefully not in our lifetime, but the thing about preparedness is that when you are prepared, you are prepared. Life goes on. And preparedness is very much well, first and foremost, it's a spiritual state. That you are prepared to die, you know, or you're prepared to do, you know, you're prepared to survive. I'm prepared to survive. But if I die, yeah, then I'm prepared to die as well. Of course. But for most people, they don't spend much time on these kind of questions. Yeah, here's kind of how it looks like. What would create severe weather? This is, yeah, if you want to do you know, a field study for yourself, check out the weather conditions on planet Earth in this time frame, 9th to 28th of August 2007, because then we were having a lot of conjunctions and a lot of things going on in the solar system, and that should indicate quite a lot of weather, not only on Earth but also on other planets. We see Mars, which has not got any atmosphere, yeah, well, a small atmosphere actually, that it's rebuilding, but it's not got any water. It's definitely not got any hot water. It's very cold on Mars, but even there are hurricanes forming, so of course then it cannot be El Niño that does this. Oh yeah, this is also a remix I did of J Magic, Arabian Nights. Came out on Metalheads. It was one of the first drum and bass tunes I ever made. No, I ever bought. Oh, I love this. Flipped it around in a sound editor and did some stuff with it. Yo, I could go on for hours, but I don't think there's any point. I love you guys. I say, if you're interested, I have a few copies of a second print run I made of the Epsilon Biotis. No more CDs, but you can find it on Mixcloud, and I'm gonna make sure to link it. Hit that subscribe button. I'm still pretty new here, so I would love to have some more action going on my profile if you think this is interesting. And if you think this is just nonsense, yeah, bring it on. I don't mind people having differing opinions from mine. Just not ride over me roughshod, because then I'm coming back with a, you know, 18-wheeler and run over you. No, honestly. And I don't have a driver's license. I don't know how to operate it, so it's going to be really bad. So no, people are entitled to have their own opinions, and these are mine. Yeah. This is how I just twisted it around.